This island is smaller than 2 football fields. 800 people live on it. No cars, no roads wide enough for one. Almost 2 out of every 3 people here are kids who've never known anything else. And in a minute, you'll understand why nobody wants to leave. "200 years ago, this place didn't exist. Not the houses, not the streets, not even the ground. There was just a shallow patch of coral poking up out of the Caribbean Sea off the coast of Colombia. Too small to live on, too small to really matter to anyone. Fishermen from the mainland used it anyway as a just to rest or to hide from a storm for a night. Nothing more. But here's the thing about fishermen and hard choices. Sooner or later, someone stays. The land around this coral shelf was thick with mangroves, and mangroves meant mosquitoes. Miserable, relentless mosquitoes, night after night. This little scrap of coral had none. No mosquitoes. Just open sea breeze and fish practically jumping into the nets. So people stayed. And when there wasn't enough land to stand on, they simply made more. Seashells, broken coral, coconut husks, tree trunks dragged in from other islands, sand, even garbage. Anything that could hold weight and stay put against the tide. Piece by piece, handful by handful, they built solid ground where there used to be only shallow water. It's easy to miss just how strange that is. This isn't an island that was found, it's an island that was made, built by hand, 1 bucket of shell and coral at a time by people who simply refused to stop. Then one day, the tide brought something else in, a plain cement cross drifting with the current like it had been sent. The settlers pulled it out of the water and planted it right in the center of their new home. The place still didn't have a name. Now it did. Santa Cruz del Islote, the holy cross of the little island, and once it had a name, it started to fill up fast. Today, on that same scrap of hand-built land, and smaller than 2 football fields, side by side, close to 800 people live. Some counts push that number past 1,000. Nobody agrees on the exact figure, and the islanders themselves get tired of hearing it argued over. What they will tell you is simpler. Everyone here is family. That's not a nice way of saying the community is close. It's the literal truth. There are only 6 surnames on the entire island. 6. Walk down any street and nearly every person you pass is a cousin, an in-law, a grandchild, a great-grandchild of the same handful of families who first built this ground with their hands. Marry someone here, and there's a good chance you're marrying into people you already knew your whole life. And the families keep growing. 65% of everyone on the island is under 18. Walk through it almost any hour and you'll hear it before you see it. Kids running through narrow alleys, ducking through someone's living room because it's the fastest way to the next street over, laughing, arguing, playing soccer in whatever scrap of open ground they can find. But growing families need space, and space is the one thing this island never had much of, so they build up instead of out. A young couple has a baby. There's no more room to spread sideways, so a second floor goes on top of the first. Then a third family needs room and another floor goes up somewhere else. Slowly, the skyline of a 2-acre island starts to look less like a fishing village and more like a tiny, tangled city. Nearly 100 houses, fewer than 50 families, and every single one of them related, one way or another, to the same 6 names that started it all. It shouldn't work. A place this crowded, this cut off, should be full of tension. Instead, people here will tell you something else entirely. There's no crime, no police, because nobody's ever needed one. Doors that don't lock, because there's never been a reason to. When everyone on your street is your blood, it turns out, you look out for each other differently. Here's the problem nobody solves for you when you build an island out of shells and garbage. It doesn't come with fresh water, there's no river, no well, no natural spring hiding underneath the coral. Every drop of drinking water either falls from the sky or arrives by boat. So the island built its own answer, a shared rain tank right at the center of everything that residents simply call the lung of the island. When the rains come, the tank fills and life goes on. But some years, the dry season stretches 7-8 months without a drop. Then it's the Colombian Navy, hauling barrels in by boat, that keeps nearly 800 people from going thirsty. Electricity isn't much easier. Solar panels went up on rooftops a few years back, and for a handful of hours each afternoon, usually from around noon until the sun dips low, the island actually has power. Fridges hum, fans spin. Then the sun goes down, and so does almost everything else. And food comes from the same place it always has, the sea. Fishermen head out at dawn, working nets and lines around the coral reefs that first drew people here 2 centuries ago. Fish, lobster, shrimp, octopus. Whatever the water gives up that day becomes dinner, and often income too. But even the ocean has limits. Decades of fishing the same small patch of reef have thinned the waters out, so now some of what the island eats has to be shipped in from the mainland. A strange twist for a community surrounded by sea on every side. There's no sewage system either. No plumbing running underground like most of the world takes for granted. Waste goes where there's nowhere else for it to go. And that, more than almost anything, is the quiet cost of building a home this crowded, this fast, with this little room to spread out. And yet, somehow, people here don't talk about themselves as poor. Ask them, and most will tell you they're not missing anything. No big house payments, no traffic, no strangers to fear, just family, sea, and enough sun most days to get by. But the sea that built this island hasn't stopped moving. Storms hit harder than they used to. Water creeps a little further into the streets than it did a generation ago. The same tide that once delivered a cross and a name and a home is now the thing residents watch most carefully of all. It shouldn't have lasted this long. By most measures, it shouldn't even be possible. And yet, every morning, the sun comes up over the same crowded rooftops, and 800 people who are really just one enormous family wake up and go fishing and keep going. Whether the sea that gave them this island lets them keep it is the one thing nobody there can build their way around.